Rebecca's recent experience at Toastmasters for a double division humorous speech and table topics contest was so much fun, she just can't stop talking. I think we're going to hear more about that tonight. Today she shares a little bit about her experience as she works through Project 2 in her Confident Communicator Manual, Organize Your Speech. Sharing with us an old funny story with a new funny twist. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Rebecca Murray.
Thank you. I'm still on cloud 9 over the opportunity to be the Division A and B Toastmaster for the Humorous Speech Contest and Table Topics Contest. We have one of our amazing contestants sitting right here. I had so much fun for 4 hours straight. Didn't we laugh a lot? Fantastic. Especially important to me, or meaningful, because the Humorous Speech Contest was my very first contest that I entered in Toastmasters many years ago. How many years ago? You might be asking yourselves. I will tell you. Here's a little Toastmaster history. First, starting back in the 1980s when I was in college, yes, that is where I started in Toastmasters, and I have some proof right here. You can hand this visual aid all the way around. Then I moved from Davis, California when I graduated to Seattle, where I joined Toastmasters again for a few years. And then I took a break, a very long break. And thanks to Stephanie right here, I rejoined Toastmasters in 2013, became a member of Burlington Better Speakers. We meet right here in this very room. This humorous speech contest that I entered, this was back in those Seattle years, still in the 80s, and I'm going to let you all guess my topic. I was single. Okay, boy, you are fast. Is that what you're? I was single. I was looking for a mate, all right? I was on the hunt. And that was pretty much the topic of my speech. Now, this whole looking for a mate thing, as you know, you've got to have a strategy if you're looking for a mate, because you have to date. And if you're really serious about finding a mate, that means you have to date a lot, right? And if you date a lot, you've got to have some kind of system to separate the goes from the no-goes. Am I right? Am I right? Yes. Well, part of my system involved this freezer that I kept in the basement. And that's where I kept John, Jim, Daryl, Fred, Billy, Bob, all down there, nice and neat, lined up. It's a big freezer. Am I confusing anybody? Okay, I'll back up. This process or strategy that I had involved 3 dates because, as anyone on the hunt knows, you've got to have time to sort some things out, right? Such as what? What do you need to know when you're finding a mate? Anybody? Okay, yes. Are they kind or not kind? Right. How about this one? Relationship with his mother. Is it bad? That's no good. Is it too good? That might be bad. You're looking for someone right in the middle, right? How about kissing? Are they all like, ooh, gross and slobbery? Or do they kiss you like the grandmother, a little peck on the cheek? Again, it's got to fit with your needs. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. So I have a 3-step strategy that I employed. It was very successful, by the way. First, a walk around Green Lake. That gives you 45 minutes. If it's a go after Green Lake, then second date, dinner, and a movie. That gives you some extra time to figure some other things out. Maybe that kiss comes in there. And the third was dinner at my place. Now, my roommates had a special name for this. They called it the Last Supper. But that's where this freezer came in. You see, I was on a budget back then, so what I would do once a month or so, I'd make this big casserole. It was not opulent. That is not a word you'd use for this casserole, but it was cheap, all right? So I'd make this big casserole and I'd cut it into pieces, and I'd take these pieces out, I'd put them on saran wrap, then I'd wrap them up and I'd put a label on them, and there's John, Jim, Fred, Ted, Bob, Billy Bob. That was definitely a Last Supper. I'd take them all, go downstairs, load them into the freezer, line them up all nice and neat. And then let's say it's Ted's turn to come over for dinner on Tuesday. I run downstairs to the freezer. I grab Ted. I pop Ted into the microwave. Ted comes out nice and hot, chop Ted in two, put him on plates, toss a salad, bottle of wine. Voila, dinner for two. Or Last Supper. You never know. Back then, I'm crafting this speech all about the freezer and the casserole and all that, and I had this friend. His name was Bill Nye. You might know him, okay? So Bill says to me one time, he says, "Hey, Reb." Reb, that was my nickname in the 80s, because I was super cool in the 80s. He says to me, "Hey, Reb, if you're serious about this Toastmasters gig, you've got to take it to the next level. You have got to take your speech to the Comedy Underground in Seattle on open mic night." Bill, great idea. Let's do it. So one night I hop on the back of Bill's motorcycle. He takes me down to the Comedy Underground. It's kind of like Baskin-Robbins, the way you have to walk in, you take a number. And then the later you get there, the later you go on stage. I went on stage around midnight. Can I ask you another question? Here's the question. What is the difference between a room full of Toastmasters and a room full of people at the Comedy Underground at midnight? Thank you. So I walk on the stage, grab the mic. It is a smoke-filled room with bright lights. I really can't see much of anything. And I start giving my speech about Billy Bob and the casserole and all that. And no one laughed. Not a single laugh. Plenty of heckles, but no laughs. Interestingly, I took that same speech to an auditorium filled with Toastmasters, and I got lots of laughs. So here's what I learned about Toastmasters. They will laugh at just about anything. I got home from that double division contest. My husband's never heard the first speech. He never heard that speech that you just heard, but I'm giving him a few highlights. He pauses and looks at me and he says, "You never invited me over for dinner." "You just invited me over to fix your plumbing." He was right. "Honey, you know you skipped a few levels because you have gone where no man has gone before." Mr. Toastmaster.